Always ready.
All right, it's on. Reed's not here.
We think he'll be back.
We think maybe he'll be back. But of
Likely back.
course, Kyle's here. The lovely and wonderful 4-time Eisner nominated Kyle Starks.
That's official.
Are you so excited? You could probably be more excited.
I probably could be more excited. It's funny. He just unplugged his computer.
I don't know what he's doing.
It's funny because I feel like I'm doing it wrong, but I was so excited for the first two. Like I was so thrilled for the first two. And then I lost. The second time I lost to Tom Gauld, who's also nominated he's up again. So, and since then I feel like I should have been nominated every single year. So I'm like mad about it. So it's like being nominated, like, well, yeah, of course. But I'm nominated for my least funny book. That's pretty exciting.
I'm confused by that, I have to say. I read I Hate This Place, and I'm confused.
I'll tell you what it is. Reed, say something. Do a sound check.
Oh,
okay. I can hear him.
I literally just now saw that it says live, and
yeah, we're going.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You were too late.
Well, it's Kyle's fault. He took a sip from his cool, crisp Coke Zero #spawns, and then we're not. That's a different Coke Zero than you had before I went and got me a Coke Zero.
I have two here.
You have the can. Do you prefer the can or the bottle?
Are you me?
First question.
I prefer the can.
That is the best answer.
I also prefer canned soda.
The bottle tricks me into drinking fewer, basically. So
that is true, unless you get the little bottles. The little bottles.
No, those are for liquor. Those are for liquor. They're not for consumption.
or children.
No, I guess for children.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like I should have been nominated, Kristen. I think I should have been nominated every year. Like Assassination should have been nominated.
I agree.
Six Sidekicks should have been nominated.
I agree.
Yes. Mars Attacks should have been nominated. Hey, it's right there.
Definitely agree.
Mars Attacks should have been nominated.
Mars Attacks wasn't nominated? I thought that one. No, that's
it should have been.
Sex Castle
it was because it was so good.
Yeah, Sex Castle, Rock Candy Mountain. I mean, I think I could make a case that Rick and Morty should have been nominated every year that I was on it. So I'm not salty about it. I'm very excited. It's a great honor, and I want to be nominated every year. It's just like it's kind of hard to be excited about it when you don't get nominated when you should have. But here's my thing on this: is the reason why I think I Hate This Place, which is my least funny book. Like I literally didn't write a comedy when I wrote it, but I have instincts that I think are humorous, and I think a lot of people just hadn't read one of my books before. And if you hadn't read any of my books before, and that was your introduction and just sort of like my tone, I think it is funny. Like it's funnier than everything else, right? So I get like Dante Howitzer is very funny to a lot of people, and like to me, it's like they're just charming. They're just charming and likable. I didn't do any bits, you know what I mean? Like there's not bits really. So I think it's just an introduction, and a lot of people who read I Hate This Place and enjoyed it definitely bought Where Monsters Lie and thought it was great. So we're all for it, whatever it takes.
Nice.
Burping right into it.
Killing it.
Kyle, my dad's in the chat, and he must ask you a question, apparently.
Can I see that? Oh.
Yeah, what does it say to the Rick and Morty comic license? I don't think Kyle knows, Dad, but all right.
I can answer some of these. I am far and away the best. That's true. My last issue was literally the March the pandemic started. That was the last issue of the Rick and Morty main series. They quit doing the main series because people couldn't understand that you could literally buy any volume of Rick and Morty because we made it like the show. As far as I know, they still have it. I know people work on it, and I have not heard that they don't, but I couldn't say. Will I ever do it again? It's not up to me. Would I do it if I was asked again? I don't know. That's my answer to that. I'll tell you right now, in 2023, I don't want to be, I do a lot of conventions, I do a lot of shows, and people think I'm Justin Roiland all the time. And I don't think they know who Justin Roiland is or what he looks like, but they think because I made the comic book, I also must have made the show. I don't know. It's very confusing. So I'm happy to sort of distance myself. And I'd be like, and really promote Kyle Stark stuff as I'm doing DC and Marvel stuff, which I also don't own. But I'm kind of stoked to. Rick and Morty was like a big part of my life for 5 years. I loved it. I loved the show. It was an honor to get to play in that sandbox. Yada yada yada. No, I loved it. But I feel like I did. I feel like I did 46 issues, something like that. Something crazy. I did it. I would do it again. I mean, I really would, just because my ego is so big. But I tell people all the time, I felt like when I was at Rick and Morty, even as they're starting to do like spinoffs and stuff, I felt like that manager that everybody's had that was like, this place would fall apart without me. And it's like you don't ever want to be that person, because the reality of it is like that's not actually true. Like even if you are working super hard to make it super good, and you're replaceable. Everyone's replaceable. I'm sure everyone's doing a good job, but he's right. I am the best one. That's true.
I would second that.
How do you feel about Scott Stapp being in the job?
Is that the lead singer of Incubus?
Creed.
Oh, come on. Incubus.
Creed.
Yeah,
all right.
Creed. Yeah, my favorite band, Kyle.
It's not even joking.
It's not a bit.
It's not even joking. Kyle's like, I know.
Okay.
Well, let's say hi to some people. William's here. James is here. What's up, guys? Stephanie, hello.
Hi, Stephanie. Mary.
Mary, you're doing product placement, Kyle. Why don't you get endorsed by Coke Zero?
I need to be endorsed by Coke Zero and Chipotle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, the thrill.
Yeah.
That brings me to my. Oh, sorry.
Well, my dad's going on about. Rick and Morty,
goodness.
So,
Goodness.
It doesn't mean it. Here, listen. It's so funny. We just did the show. I just did the show in Southern Illinois. I took my daughter to hang out with Matt Kent. We're just hanging out with Matt Kent, and they put us on this panel, and it's like this vague. It's like just Matt and Kyle, and like we sit down, and I was like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be about, because it was just like it's Matt and Kyle time. And the first question was like, hey, what's up with Justin Roiland? It's like, I don't know. Here, listen. Rick and Morty has, I think, 4 more seasons guaranteed. So there'll be 4 more seasons of Rick and Morty. He will not be voicing them. He will still make a lot of money. That's sort of the deal. It's like he was punished so greatly. He's still the co-creator. It still owns like 50% of it. So they'll be fine. They'll be Rick and Morty forever. I'd say read the comics, because they're not in any way attached to a questionable human being. Supposedly questionable. I don't know what the legality of it was, but it seemed pretty.
Apparently, the charges were just dismissed.
They were acquitted, but also the DMs of him grooming children is out there. So I guess I could quit those charges.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rick and Morty, I did that.
Yikes.
If you want a guilt-free Rick and Morty experience, I guess read issues 15 through 60 of the Rick and Morty series.
Do it.
There you go.
I'm not attached to a problematic human being. I promise.
We'll vouch for you, Kyle.
I guess there's no.
Reed, you really seemed eager for some of these questions.
Well, no, I had one that was going to tie into it, because I have a lightning round of just like this or that questions, and we were talking about Coke Zero, but I think I know the answer now, and I was going to put it. It was going to be Coke Zero or Diet Mountain Dew.
Coke Zero, come on.
Okay,
listen,
of course.
My father once told my daughter there's only one beverage worth having. Like, instead of water, why are you drinking water? You should have a Diet Mountain Dew. And he died from diabetic complications. So that's the lesson there. Drink some water.
Well, I will stand by. I mean, Diet Mountain Dew used to be great, and then I think when they went to Mountain Dew Zero Sugar, it got worse. And Coke Zero, when it went from Coke Zero to Coke Zero Sugar, got better.
Yes, that's true. But it was pretty good before. It was good. It was bad though.
It was always good. It's always been good, but yeah, one was. Yeah, one. Yeah, they perfected it. They perfected it, yes, as of now. So
it's still pretty good. That's good comic talk.
Yeah, that Coke Zero, that Coke Zero vanilla is the one. That's the one.
I don't do any of that.
Well, that's. I'm sorry.
I don't need to church anything up. You just give it to me, and I'll take it as is, or I won't take it. That's how I do it. Like, what if we put some cherries on this thing? What if you did? Who's the fancy pants that needs that? Who's the fancy pants that needs that? Reed.
It's me. I am the fancy pants who therefore needs vanilla in his Coke Zero.
You know what I need? More Peacemaker.
Hey, it's coming out.
There we go.
In a couple of weeks.
When is the next one?
I thought it was out.
Issue 1's out. Issue 1 came out on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be the first week of
June.
That's what it's called.
Oh.
And on the same day should be I Hate This Place number 9, the penultimate I Hate This Place issue. That means second to last. Nice. Is what that means.
Okay, thank you for that.
So it was.
Aren't you a writer?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
So
okay.
that I had like a double Kyle Wednesday for like 6 weeks or something like that, 5 weeks, and one was triple Kyle Wednesday. It's pretty exciting. I guess 4 weeks, 5 weeks. That'll never happen again. I don't think. I say that the week that I had two, the first time I had two, I was so excited. I was like, who can believe I live in a world where two Kyle Starks comics come out at the same time? And Stephanie Phillips had 5 books come out that day. So 5.
That's a lot.
It's amazing.
I know, she's busy.
It's too busy.
All right. Peacemaker, issue 2, June 6th. I Hate This Place, issue 10, July 5th. And that's a great cover. Love that cover.
Oh, and June and July? This should be June. They're both June 5th, right? They're just one day off.
It says July 5th.
That you're looking at. He said issue 9 of I Hate This Place should be June 5th.
Right. I was talking about issue 10.
Oh, yeah. So it'll be a month later. Yeah, it'll be a month later. That'll be the last one.
That makes sense then. Yep.
The finale, the grand finale.
Is that it? Is that it for I Hate This Place?
Yeah, 10's the last one. It'll be the 10. Yes, sir.
I'm excited for it.
Thank you.
That was one of the first. I feel like, as we've been, me and Kristen both have been like reading your work since we met, but it's like I felt like that was the one that was different for some reason. I felt like I Hate This Place had like, and I'm glad. I mean, you mentioned it earlier a little bit about it being like your least funny book, but definitely like it felt to me like the easiest to get into.
Oh, for sure.
Like
I know. I think that's all true. Listen, it all plays, and we've had this conversation. I'm pretty sure it all leads back to the same thing. Like comedy is kind of a bad word in direct market comics. And I just wrapped up Rick and Morty, and my basically like when I say my numbers, but I mean like my social media followers, my issue sales, were not increasing, and I hate that. And during the pandemic, several editors were like, "You probably shouldn't do comedy anymore. If you want more readers, don't do comedy anymore." And I had asked, I'm gonna touch my nose, like this whole thing. And they're like, he said it wasn't problematic, but he's clearly doing cocaine. I just have a nervous tick.
It's allergies.
And Kirkman was like, do that horror thing you pitched me, which I hadn't really pitched him. I just asked him once because I thought it was an interesting idea for a setting. And anyway, there's an email. I'm gonna have to send him an apology. I just realized I'm gonna have to send him an apology because he's like, do that horror thing. Don't do it funny. Don't do comedy. Because he started off with comedy too. He did Battle Pope to start, and that was great for him. But then he obviously moved on to bigger, better things. And they're not wrong. So I mean, I Hate This Place was legit me like, I'm going to try something completely different that's not humorous. And here I am again with the best humor Eisner nomination. The irony, the ridiculous irony.
Well, it's because you're. I mean, anybody like witnessing this conversation or anything knows, like or has spoken to you at a convention or anything. Everyone knows you're a funny guy. So I think no matter what you do is going to have that humor. And
I think it's going to have an element.
That's part of it.
Yeah, and also some of it is once we sort of got past the pandemic, there was very much. I mean, I told this story before. So I did this book called Old Head, which has vampires and toxic masculinity. I can't even sell it. I can't even like elevator pitch it. But I did a Kickstarter. It was very successful, and then Image was going to publish it, which they did publish it. You can get it fine stores everywhere. And Image was like, they said how many, which they've never said, and all the time they're like, how many copies do you want to print? And I said, that doesn't feel like a Kyle question. Like a million? I don't know. I don't know. I really like sincerely didn't understand why they're asking me. I don't know if that's just their new policy or that day they decided. I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Like that seems like something you guys would decide. Like you're the publisher. I trust you. And a guy popped in and he was like, oh, Assassination, Reckoning Mountain, they only sold like 4,000 copies. So we'll put 4,000 copies. And this was right before I Hate This Place or right as sort of the pandemic started. I don't know. No, it would have been the year later because Chris was still coloring, I think, during the pandemic anyway. And I just thought, holy shit, my legacy is 4,000 people might read this book. 4,000 people. Like I live in the third largest city in Indiana and it has 250,000 people. And my legacy for this creation, for this story I want people to consume was 4,000 people. And I felt awful about it. And that was in many ways the impetus for trying something different. But once I got sort of past the pandemic, I thought life is so terrible. Like every day, it's just such an awful, crushing experience. Like if I can make 4,000 people laugh, and that's my legacy, like I'll take it. I'm totally okay with that. So I really came around on it. I'm really interested in engaging in not humor, but I do think like I want my characters to be likable, and the only way I know how to do that is by them being charming, which is adjacent to humor, right? Like there's something like that's charming to me, and I think that would be charming to people. It's like someone who is affable in that way. So I think there's always going to be an element, no matter what. Though I think at some point I'm just going to be like, I'm going to do one with none of it, and people will be like, "This is the funniest thing you've ever written." I'll be like, man, can't win.
I mean, do you agree with the saying? I don't know who said the quote, but the first character in every book is the author.
I don't agree, because the first character in I Hate This Place is Itchy, or like some armored car robbers that die immediately.
Well, true. Okay, fair, but
no, I don't know if that's true. I mean, like,
because I feel like your personality is in a lot of the characters you write, and I mean that's a good thing. That's a great thing. But like,
yeah,
it's just because you like likable characters. You're a likable guy. You're a charming gentleman. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, you do that. That makes you you're charming boy right there.
I think. I mean, so who are we talking about recently? I wish I could remember, but like separating art from like say Kanye, right? I can't, like, I think your art is you. I think there's exceptions. I think there's people who are singing other people's songs, right? Like they're creating art, but they're not their words. Like I think there's exceptions, but I think for the most part, the art is the artist, and that means everything's a part of something. You know, like Assassination, I could probably really sit down and be like, look at how these 10 assassins are some part of me. And this one is just Chris Schweitzer. You know what I mean? Like even that, even when the characters they're your sort of interpretation of someone you know that you want to make into a character, which isn't just an exaggeration, because that's what it is always. Even that is your perception of those people, right? So it's all. So I think all art is me, and so yeah, I'm in all of them. But like, I think someone once said, like, they asked like, who's the most like, which character is like decidedly you? And I'm like, I don't know. Who's the most unlikable? That's probably who it is. But
the one complaining the most.
Yeah, the one who's unhappy. It's like I don't think I have that character. I think I've resisted it because, in many ways, like I think I'm aware enough of my worst characteristics to be like, those aren't ones people want to spend time with. They don't want to spend time with that. And some of that stuff is hard to do, even if it is maybe likable in life. It's hard to replicate, right? So no, I think it all is. But I mean. There's certain, like Warren Ellis is famous for it, right? I think Stephen King that's him in a bunch of those, right? And at a certain point, I think it probably is true, because the only people you know, if you're like a professional creative long enough, is that you only know yourself. Like you don't work at 7-Eleven anymore. You're not at the factory with all these characters. So it certainly becomes, that's why, like, if anyone writes long enough, the main character is a writer at some point, because that's the only job you know anymore, right? Like that's just like you're reduced down to what your environment is and what you know. So I don't think that's true. I think everything is a little piece. I don't think I've done that yet. I don't think I put me, but it's always my opinion. Like, you know, if there's an opinion, it's my opinion, right? For the most part, if it's a good guy opinion, sometimes the bad guy opinions, I go, what's the worst opinion? So I make sure that's clear. Bleeding Cool, if you're watching. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, if you could take one character of your creator catalog and put them in the world of one of your other creator-owned properties. Brandwave, that's a very interesting question. If I could take one character and put him into a different one. I'll tell you what the answer is, with no thought given. The answer is to take Shane Saxcastle, the world's former greatest hitman, and put him in the Assassination universe. That's the answer to that question, probably. That would be the most fun. I think. And I try not to like fixate, like once I do a project, it's done. Six Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton was nominated as one of the 75 best books for adults by the New York Public Library, and they had me and Chris on. They're like, we want to talk to you about the book so we can put it out. I think we were top 10. I think we were literally top 10, which is crazy. That's all books, not graphic novels, like all books.
Congratulations, that's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, we love the libraries. We love libraries, and I had to reread it because, like, if they ask me a character, like, I won't know their names. And I can tell you right now, I don't know their names. Like, right this minute, I don't know their names. And Schweitzer was like, that's crazy. He's like, I know all their names. And I'm like, man, I live in those worlds and then I'm done with them. Like, I told, I Hate This Place. I could have done 50 issues. I wanted to do 15. And when we started, it's like, let's do it as an ongoing. But in my head, I'm like, well, there has to be an end. There has like, I can't start a story without it going somewhere. That's the whole point. Even if I meander for fun, I had this fun meandering along the way. But that's the only one where I was like, it's wide open. I didn't have a beginning, middle, and end from the very beginning. So it's like, to me, all those books are done, and I lived in them and I love them. And like, we could probably go back. Some of them, like we thought there was always a chance we might go back, and I kind of left the door open. But as far as they're done. So it's like, I don't really think about those characters, but I think of like my one, I wish Rock Candy Mountain would have been just popular enough that I could have done 100 Cat. You know, I would have loved to have done something with 100 Cat, like Big Sis and Pomona Slim doing like hey, Rock Candy Mountain. Eisner nominated. Eisner nominated.
Yeah.
Didn't win. That's Eisner nomination number 2, guys, if you're keeping track. So I would have, that's like the one thing like I didn't get to do that I think I would like to have done outside of doing where more I Hate This Place, but I Hate This Place is 100%. It's exactly right. It's exactly what I want it to be. I'm very lucky. When we went into this last arc, they're like, we're for sure doing 5 more. We might do more after that. And I was just like, I can't live that way. Because whenever something ended, which happened a lot more, I'm older than you guys. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm older than you guys. In my day, it used to be shows just stopped and you never got the end. Like, it was just so you liked it just stops. And I think now, like, think about like Briscoe County Jr. or whatever, like it just ended, right? We're like, oh, but what? Now there's sort of like a little bit more, like there might be like a Netflix special. Like you might get an ending, like nothing really ends. So for me, it makes me very anxious if you don't get some sort of proper ending. So Gabby and Trudy and the ranch get a type of ending, he said, coyly.
That's exciting for me because I cannot handle reading a book that doesn't have an ending.
Yeah, it makes me nuts.
It drives me crazy. Reed doesn't care.
I can live with it.
But I'm like,
I can live with just like weird open-ended, like those artsy endings that you just sit there and you're like, is that the end? I'm gonna say I understood it because I don't want to be stupid.
Yeah,
like, I'm kind of into that.
I think now that I'm older, I think I like it even less. Before I felt like I was being shorted like a part of the story in this like world that I loved, obviously, or enjoyed enough. And now I just think those creators got to be pissed. That's what I think. Like, man, like what was that Will Forte show, Last Man on Earth? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't get 2 more episodes of that. Like, just wrap it. Just give me a wrap up. And stuff like that. Like, it just makes me anxious, I think, because I think story should. I'm a story. The thing is, like, I think it's like how you consume. Like, I was always a comic guy, but the thing I don't like about comics is they never. When I say comics, I mean direct market floppies, like ongoings. It's like, well, they go on forever. You know what I mean? Like, what are the stakes? There's no real stakes. Everything will be wound back, and as we get farther into the mainstream comic universe existing, you just do a crisis. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we just bring it back, we'll just start over. And there's so much of that. Like, I don't enjoy that. I really like beginning, middles, and ends, and I like some type of character growth and change and stakes. And that being said, give me 50 issues of Ghost Rider. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Yeah. Don't do it.
You don't want that? I mean, I would read that.
50?
Oh, I thought you said, well, how about we give you 15?
Yeah, give me 15.
Yeah, give him 15. There we go.
It'll be weird. And apparently hilarious no matter what I do.
It's going to be your darkest, serious thing, and everyone's just going to be like, this is hilarious. It's going to be like that episode of It's Always Sunny when Dee becomes a stand-up comedian just because she's sad and everyone's just laughing at her being pathetic.
Yeah, she looks like a bird.
That she does.
That she does.
Wingspan. Yeah, there it is. We brought it in. Oh, only 23 minutes, 24 minutes practically into the show has Kristen brought up Wingspan.
I love it.
That's a new record. Usually it takes her much longer.
I do know Impossible Man is Marvel's Mr. Mixelplick. He's their fun little Mixelplick. I don't know how to say that character's name. Nobody does. People say they do, but they don't.
They don't.
Yeah, I always remember Impossible Man. For me, he would always show up in like New Mutants or something, and was never as much fun as I felt like he wanted to be. Give me all of them. I'm just doing R-rated takes on all of them. I'm doing. Hey, I don't know if you guys heard. We're doing Marvel Unleashed, which is the Pet Avengers. That comes out August something.
Oh yeah.
And they came and they're like, hey, we want to make these characters like legitimate like superheroes. We don't want them to be like little like niche cartoon characters. And I was like, I know just the guy. Let me do it with your dogs.
No one clipped that.
And
I broke Kyle.
so nobody clip that. Jesus, I do not. When I say it, I mean writing. Hit clip that also. But I've noticed like since the news, like there's a lot of like very, very happy people. Like, oh, they're bringing him back. I'm like, hope nothing bad happens. I hope nothing bad happens to any of these characters and people don't get mad about it.
So how long will that be?
4 issues. It's
Okay.
it's a 30-page first issue, and then it's 3 20-page issues. And I would assume, like anything, if it's very popular, there would be more. I like them. I was shocked that they asked me to do the. I literally every book I have out right now, every book I'm working on has a dog in it, which is maybe a problem.
You're the dog guy.
Yeah.
And as Hayden has clipped.
Uh-oh.
Listen, it'll never stand up in court. No, but I mean, I do love dogs. But I have like 3 more dog like bits I'd like to use. I have to just sit on it for like 3 years. I can't do dogs again for like 3 years because I have Peacemaker has a dog, Where Monsters Lie has a dog, Marvel Unleashed has a dog. There's a lot of dogs. Yeah, no, I mean, I've done it, and I think Mars Attacks has a dog named Butthead. I think like every book that doesn't have a dog, I tried to figure out how to get a dog into it. I was just like, there's just no way. I can't squeeze a dog in here. Or I thought I might be doing dogs too much, which is where I am right now. But I don't know what they asked me.
Start with cats now.
Yeah.
I got a cat and she's not a cat, she's a flurkin. She's very seriously, she'll tell you she is not a cat, she is a flurkin.
A flurkin.
Well, you gotta get a cat in there.
Yeah.
You met our cat.
Chewbacca's in it. Chewbacca's technically, to me, she's a cat, but she's not a cat. She has cat behavior, but is also apparently one of like the 50 most dangerous things in the universe. That's according to Kelly Sue. Yeah. That's a lot of fun too, because that is a ill-formed character. There's very little to Chewie outside. She has tentacle mouth and can maybe teleport. Tough to say exactly what Chewie can do. She will only be doing tentacles in my book because I'm not going to redraw the character's past and get yelled at.
So when are we going to get another Kyle Starks drawn book?
Man, it's tough. I think the last one I did, and I'd have to see what the date was Louis Sprouse, which I did for Free Comic Book Day, which you can find if you go to my Twitter. There's a link, I think. Pay what you want. It's like 48 pages. It's hard, man, because I'm writing so many things right now, and then on top of writing, it's always like I have 3 shows in a row. It's tough. It's tough because people want me to write things because I'm better at it. But if I can't go 2 years without doing it, it makes me really angry. But right now, like I'm the busiest I've ever been, and trying to figure out how to draw something on top of it. It's tough. Well, and I say that now, I've signed NDAs. So like a book that I did for a prior Free Comic Book Day is in production. Chris Schweitzer is coloring it right now to be published as an OGN. I don't know when that's coming out. And again, I signed an NDA, so I can't talk directly about it. But I drew that. And I drew Louis Sprouse, and that would have been the pandemic year, which was 2020, right? And then 2021. So I mean, it's been 2 years. I think that's right, because I think last year I was too busy to do any of it. But I think about it literally all the time, because there's certain things that I want to do. I just think that there's a lot of things about me drawing something that I can speak at boring length about. One, there's a lot of ideas I have that I don't think are going to be massively profitable because they're weird, are off the path, are unusual. And it's like, well, what publisher would want to do that? And why would they pay an artist to do it? And I would think, oh, well, I'll just do it. And I also think like webtoons and stuff like that is so fascinating. I think the comics are shifting, and there's a whole other market that is being ignored by direct market comics. And I feel like that's a shame, because obviously with how popular manga is, like people love sequential art. So, I think like we're neglecting a lot of people. And I think about that. Like, how do you do there's some sort of publishing trick I can do or some sort of marketing trick. But right now it's like, man, I don't have time. And then it's like, well, if I only have X number of time, like which project is the one I need to do? But then I also think like, how long am I going to be alive and how many stories I have and how quickly I want to get them out. But right now, where I'm at right now, I'm very lucky because I sort of have like a list. I've had like a list of ideas that are my good ideas, right? And like 2 more are down, like 2 more are sort of going through the loop, and it's like someone else is going to draw those, and it's good because it would look like crap. The story wouldn't be as good if I drew it, and so that matters to me too. It's like, well, I can do it cheap and I can do it quick if I draw it myself. But like, I couldn't do Where Monsters Lie the way Peter did it. He was perfect for that, and there's certain bits. There's a bit where Baphomet that's sort of like coming out of the dark, and I was like, I just can't draw that. Like, I literally am not good enough to draw that scene to be what it should be. And he nailed it. He did such an incredible job on everything through that book. So that's a factor too. It's like, well, you know, some stuff, it's just, my art's not the best way for it anymore. But I'll do something. At some point, comics will be done with me. And I will only be doing bad comics. I will only be, or not say bad comics, but it'll be weird little dumb comics that, why is everything set in the 90s? They'll say, and like, I'm old. I don't know what to tell you. It's all I remember, you know? Oh.
More dog questions.
How would I give one to Captain Marvel Shazam? All right, here's what you do. One, it's a rescue, obviously, just like Billy Batson was. He's an orphan, you said? We call those rescues where we come from. And it's a rescue dog, and it meets the wizard Shazam, and he gives it the ability to change into a super dog that when it says bark, and it's like the powers of BARK, whatever they are, right? That there's some god somewhere. So like the first one's like the B for like the god of wine, aka the only bee god I can think of.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that doesn't make any sense. But listen, that dog's cool.
It works.
And his name's just like Marvel Mutt. Done.
Yep. Nice.
Get at me, DC. Oh, I can do that whenever I want. I'll text them.
Do it. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
I just came up with a whammy of a good idea for Captain Marvel. Question mark. Are we still using him? Question mark. Yeah, you know, like I'll tell you inside. I don't know if I'm supposed to. This is my favorite story because obviously with Peacemaker I had to give him a dog because I couldn't use Eagly from the TV show, right? So originally Eagly was the sort of the MacGuffin for this entire adventure. That Eagly got kidnapped at the end of issue 1, and that was why Peacemaker goes on this adventure. He goes on a comic book adventure, but they're like, you can't use Eagly, and I was like, cool. And I was like, well, we want to give him an animal friend because obviously Peacemaker likes animals, and that's part why we like him. It's part of what makes him, even when he's sort of juvenile and awful, we know like he's good in his heart because he likes a bird. You know what I mean? And so I was like, what if it was like Rex the Wonder Dog? And they're like, no one cares who Rex the Wonder Dog is, even though he did ski, which is awesome. And I said, I hope I don't get in trouble for this. Is DC watching right now? Look in the comments. And I was like, what if it was?
No.
Like, what if it was Ace the Bat Hound? What if we use Ace the Bat Hound? Because that makes perfect sense. That's why Amanda Waller would like really want this taken care of, right? Like, we really got to get this dog back. And Peacemaker doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is. He just knows it's Bruce Wayne's dog is missing, but it's Ace the Bat Hound. And I was like, that works great. Like, it's so good. And then at the end, I can sort of Ace the Bat Hound do some cool dog stuff because we could like make Ace the Bat Hound awesome. And they're like, no, Batman would never allow that to happen. And I was like, well, we could be just like, he's like on Apocalypse, like he's off planet. And they're like, no, Alfred wouldn't let that happen. Nightwing would. They're like going down the list of naming every Batman character that would. And I was like, they all let him just neglect that dog in the cave for every issue though that he's never in. You never see him put a bowl of water out, you know? Yeah, it's messed up. Yeah. It's messed up. Yeah. That's why number one thing of DC is don't mess with Batman. Number one, that's the number one rule.
Well, Bruce Wayne is my favorite part of Peacemaker, so.
Thanks. It's a pretty good name for a dog.
Oh yeah, everyone's confused who hasn't read it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
They've all read it.
Yeah,
I've seen the numbers. I haven't seen the numbers.
Of
I haven't seen the numbers. I'm real proud of it. I think it's a really fun series. I think it's
Does the bark?
Why would the bark turn him into a cat?
I
Is this
don't
like
know.
a kid who turns into an adult?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It might be easier to come up with gods that go with meow than bark. Do you have?
Probably.
That's a good. I don't. I actually don't.
Oh.
I'll tell you. Because here's the thing. Like I don't. Big two stuff is just. I've never considered it, and I'm at a place now where like I feel like I kind of do have to consider it, but I don't. I'll do what we just did, where I'll be like, I have a dumb idea, and I know, for like, I say ghostwriter because I do have a really dumb idea, but it's dumb great because me and I was talking to Schweitzer, who's my best friend and my virtual studio mate, and I was like, this is how you do these. Like, my stuff is it's very character driven. It's very emotional beats, even when it's big action and horror. It's like the story still pivot around these characters going through experiences and how they respond to the experiences, and it's really, really tough to do that effectively with big two characters because they don't have lives, and my characters all have fully realized lives, and that's why my hope is the reader says I can relate to this, or I know that guy and I understand, and this situation would be awful and blah blah blah. And so you sort of go through this emotional journey as people try to grow and be better, or they don't sometimes. But the big two stuff doesn't really have that, which is one I'm very interested to sort of delve into, because obviously the Pet Avengers don't have any of that. They don't have any character. Like, they really don't have any personality. So I had to sort of come with that whole cloth. But I don't think about what ifs, because I'm very fortunate in that, as we just said, if I have a story that no publisher wants to do, I can draw it. Like, the ideas I have are the ideas I spend time sort of floating in are the ones that I want to tell. And it's fun to perfect those, and it's fun for me to make those ideas wholly realized things. So I don't think about what ifs. And I think for Marvel, like I did, they asked me to do their Marvel Unlimited stuff, and they're like, oh, they're like, hey, we hear you're not doing comedy anymore. Do you want to do this funny web comic? I'm like, what? Interesting. So I did Great Lakes Avengers, and the other thing they had was this Christmas thing, and I was just like, I wanted to do it because I wanted the challenge of it, but then it's like I couldn't get it right because I don't care what Tony Stark gets for Christmas. And they were at the end, they're like, hey, let us know who else you want to, like, who you'd like to do or whatever. And I was like, no, tell me who you want to get done, right? Because one, if you ask me like who I want to do, it's going to be like it's Nomad with a baby on his back and a shotgun and a motorcycle. It's like the dumbest characters. Yeah, D-Man.
D-Man,
like,
yeah.
It's the dumbest possible characters. It's not the good ones, and like no one wants them. If people, and I think people would, but like they want to sell things, and the things that sell are not those, right? That's why they don't do them. That's why Batman has 6 titles and Spider-Man has who knows how many. And so I like I said, I don't really think about them. But I was like, hey, give me something, and I'll come up with something good. And if I don't come up with something good, I'll be like, I'm not going to do it. But I think also like it's like they're longer stories for the most part. I'm interested in the challenge. I'm really excited because of course we're moving into that. You know, DC is very pleased with Peacemaker, and I think Marvel is very pleased with Pet Avengers, and I'm stoked for them to be like, what would you do with name something? You know what I mean? And I'll be like, I'll figure it. Let me see if I can figure something out, because I think that's the fun. Is I think anyone could be like, here's an X-Men story, but I want to tell Kyle Stark's X-Men story that's also still very true to what X-Men fans want, are, you know, whomever, Throg or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like I take very seriously that these characters have beloved fandoms and why they have beloved fandoms, but also like just someone fighting someone for 4 issues doesn't really excite me, though. I just thought of like 3 ways. I was like, that'd be pretty good, but it would depend on who's fighting. Depending on who's fighting for 4 issues, I guess, and why they're fighting. Yeah, dude, I would love to, but I think Robert owns that. I don't think he's sharing that. I don't think he's gonna let me do any Walking Dead stuff.
Only with
he's doing
Tilly Walden, so.
No, I guess that's true. Tilly's, yeah. I guess if I was as good as Tilly Walden, he'd let me do whatever I wanted to do. But she might win. She's got a pretty good chance, I feel like.
I love her. I love
zombie stuff is tough because I think everybody has a zombie story.
So do you. Dead of Winter, right?
I do. Yeah. And when they asked me to do that, I said, they're like, do you want to do the zombie book? And I was like, everyone's got a zombie story. And they said, you can be a dog in this one. And I said, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know that one. Let me figure that one out. That's super exciting. Robert's doing some new thing that they keep saying is a shared universe. And like, I'm like, that's interesting. I don't know what that means, but like, I like to play. But if I can't get a good idea, I'm not going to do it. Like, that's just how. I don't know who Nate Garcia is.
I knew it was coming. Sorry, Cycle. I know he doesn't know who Nate Garcia is.
Yeah, Reed knows.
Yeah, Nate Garcia, Jasper Juvenville, that whole like the young guns of Fantagraphics cartooning and stuff like that.
Yeah, listen, I don't read comic books. Who has time? I have 2 teenage daughters and I just suffer in pain all day long. Lilo Lucha TV. I gotta check out this page. I love
I know,
luchas.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say nothing's been announced yet. But it's sold out. Every issue sold out. So
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. It's sold out and nothing's been announced, but I haven't favorite bands. Jesus
let's see.
Christ.
I'm trying to bet if I can pick at least 2 on there.
It's so tough. Like current fave, all time fave. I have to think about like everything I've listened to and like what I put time into. Here's who's the top 5 on my Spotify playlist, whether I want it or not right now. All right.
I like it.
It's gotta be the bands that I send you, right? It's gotta be like Mannequin Pussy.
I feel like Boy
and
Genius is in there
Viagra
because that's all you
Boys.
guys talk about, right?
I mean, there's no question this like last year. I remember in like June driving with my daughter and I looked at her and I said, Adrian Linker is going to be my most played at the end of the year. Like in June, I just knew it's going to be Adrian Linker or Big Thief or whatever. Adrian Linker is probably, I don't know if she's quite top 5, but I've listened to Boy Genius so much this year. So I'd say my top 5 probably presently are Field Medic, love Field Medic, Boy Genius right now, and that will tangent out into any 3 members of Boy Genius, which is sort of a cheat. I really like Beach Bunny. I really like Florist. I'm trying to think. I know. Oh, Pine Grove. I like Pine Grove a lot too. That's probably the top 5 current. Adrian Linker is probably number 5. We're gonna be honest. I love Adrian Linker, and like I don't like so much like it's not so much like I'm crazy about Florist so much as they fit in perfectly with everything, and every song is good, and you're always happy to hear it. And if you're gonna go nighty night, you put on the Florist Spotify radio and you go right to sleep. It's great. So lots of Florist, lots of Lomelda. You know what I mean? All time, I'd have to be like the Beatles, totally, Elliott Smith, and then I have to think about it. A bunch of bands I was probably ashamed of. I don't want to recount now.
I swore the Replacements would have been on that all time.
Yeah, the Replacements would probably be on there.
Or do you remember the first time
Death Cab, you know what I mean? Like Death Cab, probably.
Yeah. Would you put that like, Japandroids album that you wouldn't stop talking? The first time we ever hung out, you like made me listen to that record in your car. You were just like, "This is the album I listen to all the time."
Listen. That's still my hype up album.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the top 5 specific to Kyle Stark's albums. I don't really love a lot of full albums unless it's like classic, like it's the Beatles, obviously, like that type of thing. Otherwise, it's like I really like these songs, and I think it's because being sort of a kid of the 90s was really the sort of mixtape. Like we could make things so easier. You didn't have to do the cassette, right? You could just download things. And so I think like I really sort of moved away from albums. There's certain albums, like there's some concept albums, probably like Afton Wigs, Gentleman would be on there. That'd be like these albums are very meaningful to me. But it's like anymore, it's like, I love Elliott Smith, but it's not like, man, I listen to XO more than I probably do. But you know what I mean? Like it's not like that. So it's like albums are tough. But that particular album, which I can't think of the name of. Do you know the name of Japandroids?
I know the cover. It's the cover with that black and white photo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebration. It's Celebration Rock. It's called Celebration Rock. That's definitely my most like hype up because my wife says there's no rock in my role. It's all very, and it's true. She's not wrong. It's very laid back.
You like rock music because I will.
Not really.
I mean, you like rock music and sad girl music. Those are like your two. Those are your two go-tos. But I kind
of like sad girl music and indie folk though. Like it's really probably more of what my top 2 categories are. Whenever they give you the categories at the end of the year.
Because we talked about like Dinosaur Jr. and Dynago and like all that stuff.
J Mascis, Martin and Me, which is an acoustic.
Oh yeah,
that album, top 5 Kyle Starks album. Like that's a top 5. That album
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it just that album like it just like there was nothing else like that, and it's so it's a lot, and like it's sad, and like I love sad things. I really it's sad.
Before Kristen moves on to another question,
sorry.
just on the band question, I just have to ask. This is a question from my list that's for you, and that is ska music.
Oh, I love ska music for sure.
I knew it.
Yeah,
We
I like.
knew it.
I don't. We've never talked about ska music, but I'm like, I mean, I look at you and I'm just like, this guy's skanked in his life. This guy is,
1000%.
he's listened to some Mustard Plug. He knows the impression that I get.
My
I know,
60th birthday
he's
was at a
getting
Mustard
down
Plug
to
show.
I can say bim scala bim without making a face.
Can you pick it up? Can you pick it up?
Yeah, I do like ska music. I
let's
wouldn't say like if someone wanted to gatekeeping on ska music, they could do it very easily. But I like it. I enjoy it. I like a horn and I like a peppy beat. You know what I mean?
Who is gatekeeping ska music? That's the
ska fans probably. Ska fans probably.
I mean, I'm a huge ska fan, and I would never gatekeep ska
like
music.
hardcore ska fans. Like that's all.
Like
Yeah.
like guys who are rocking the suspenders and the checkered platform
They're
shoes.
telling me I don't. They're like
They're
like who do you know? And I'm like I can't even think of a single one right now. But I like it.
You can't.
That's fair.
What comics got me excited as a kid? So this is like part of my origin story, which I tell a lot. I don't know. Me and my brother always had comics. I don't know why. My uncle's name is Tony Starks, and he used to have like a monthly like letter, like a
Column
each month. Yeah, like a column. Sorry, I don't know.
Newsletter.
He had like a column in like one of the price guides, one of the big Overstreet. I can't remember like. And he has always sold as sort of a side hustle, silver and golden age comics. So I know my uncle, like my entire life, like comics have been a thing. And I think for us, I don't know if he introduced that or I don't know why, but we always had a pull list. I'm so gassy. Too many Coke Zeros. At the local, one of the local comics. I know. I fucked it up. I messed it up.
Double fisting Coke Zeros. Yeah.
And in a bottle. That's
Don't
two
clip
different
that.
entry systems.
No, clip that. Someone clip that.
Yeah. So we always had them, but like we always had comics, and I think it's because we read them. And it's just like if someone's reading something, if someone's reading, you just keep giving them more of the thing. And as a parent, if someone has just my daughter have a vague interest in reading something, I just get it for them, right? So we always had it, but when I was a kid, I had like the most sort of basic bitch. I had Spider-Man, Hulk, Justice League, and X-Men. Like those are my books. But it was the worst era for three of those. X-Men is Claremont Burns, so it was great. But like is when Spider-Man was like he did nothing. Nothing was going on. He's fighting Firelord, which everyone agrees is just like a bad time period. Hulk was in like this crossroads dimension where each issue was like an anthology, like weird sort of sci-fi horror, like not for kids, not even for Hulk fans. You know what I mean? And Justice League was Justice League Detroit. Like it's also the worst versions of these. But I loved them. And it's like I think that's why I love the dinkiest, most terrible heroes, is because that's sort of what I experienced. And I thought, well, this is what comics are. It's sort of like the dumbest version of these heroes. So when I was a kid, I loved X-Men. I was crazy about the X-Men. The X-Men are always, whenever we talk about it, sort of how ubiquitous like comics are in pop culture. It's like, man, because when my daughter, I'm like, oh, you got to find your people in school. And it's like, I remember when I was in middle school finding the one other person who knew who Nightcrawler was and how exciting that was, like how thrilling. Now everyone knows who Nightcrawler is, right? Like that's the old man bit. So those were definitely, I think like if I was going to be like greatest hits when I was younger, the Giffen de Mateus JLI is one of my favorites. Justice Bones, one of my favorites. Anything Kurt Busiek did, like in the 90s, I loved because they were pure. Mark Grunwald, I can talk about Mark Grunwald forever, right? DP7 is one of my favorite runs ever.
First Kyle Starks print we own is that.
I got a whole stack of them.
Oh,
we'll never sell.
People need to get that. I know Kyle's been talking down his art on this show.
And I looked at the print the other day. It's good.
I hate it.
We had it on our living room wall for a long time.
It was on our wall. Yeah, it really. I mean, and Kyle's a great artist. Don't let him talk himself so down. Don't let him get all angry old man screaming at the sky about his own art. Silly.
He gets better every year. That boy, he gets better every year. But I looked at the post. I was like, you know what? Because I thought for Heroes this year, I was like, what? I'm not going to sell any Rick and Morty, and I'm not. I was like, maybe I'll bring this Captain America print, and I got.
You
I'm
should.
like, I don't think I'm going to.
You should 100% bring
People
that
would
print.
buy it though.
People would buy
We
it.
bought it.
We bought it.
Were
We bought
there
it.
only once? Are you saying
No,
you
we
sold
we
once?
bought it at Free Comic Book Day. It was probably we probably were the only people who bought it
Like-
that time.
I did not sell very many of those, and I'm like, there's a reason for that. Because people don't love Mark Grunwald correctly. That's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
That's
you
always my
need
question.
to educate them.
Listen, if you're in comics and you don't love Mark Grunwald, like I can't be your.
You're not wrong.
I'm not going to gatekeep you on that. You know what I mean? Just get out there and read some Grunwald. It's all good. That's just those like top 5 questions are always. I think like there's a certain type of like sort of pop culture fandom where you're always sort of thinking like this ranking system. It's like I just don't do it. I just try to like.
Yeah, it's the high fidelity effect.
Yeah, I don't do that, and I get it because
I do it. I'm 100% that mindset. Like Kristen knows. I'm every road trip.
Sure.
I'm like, what's the top 5
Yeah.
thing that you would want?
No,
and she every time she's like, why? Why? We don't need to talk about this.
Here's the thing. Like it makes sense, especially for like because it's an organizational system. You know what I mean? It's like there isn't like there's no Michael Jordan of comics. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like he's the fucking best, and then after him, like it's just not, it's just subjective enough, and like there's a weird history where it's so niche, and but also it's like there's such a rich history of it that all of everything music's the same way, right? Like I mean, there are dudes you could be like these are the 20 greatest musicians from 1960s to today, and I think people will be like yes, that's correct. Those 20 we all agree, and anyone who doesn't agree, you got to be like, listen, if you look at Picasso and be like, I don't get it, like that's not Picasso's fault. You know what I mean? But like after that is when it gets interesting, right? Like because it's like here's my personal top 10, which I think is more interesting. Or even like, well, let's talk about like this. And I think it's an interesting thought experiment. I don't have time for it. Like I don't have the bandwidth to do that. I just want to consume things and enjoy them and learn from them. Like that's my impetus. So it's funny like whenever we talk about things like Chris Schweitzer, again, I'm just gonna call by his first name, is my best friend and my virtual studio mate, and I'll be like, hey, you should name any great thing, and he'll be like, he'll watch it 3 years later. It's always 3 years later, because I'm like, you should delay gratification. And as he's watching it, he'll talk to me like I remember as like 3 years ago. How am I supposed to remember something? I remember it was good. That's all I remember. At the time, you could have watched it within 2 weeks. And I could have, then we could have talked about it. Like it's 3 years later. I don't remember anything like that. So I always feel like whenever people give me like I'm forgetting something. I'm forgetting something I really like that I really want people to know I like or something. You know what I mean? Like did I leave off a band that I listened to a lot? For sure I did. I just don't know who it is. And then I'll put it like, oh, I should have said. I'll open my Spotify. Oh, like I could tell you like my two like.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Every time. I love it.
I love
it. No, bring it back. Bring it back.
It's honestly, it's what we need to do. That's how we'll get them to stop talking so we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'll just talk forever. I don't know where that's going anyway. I do Creepshow again. I had a lot of fun. If I could do it with Fran Galan, Fran Galan was my artist on that Creepshow. The Eisner nominated Creepshow, by the way.
Yeah.
If I could if Fran Galan was on it, I'd do it. I would do anything with Fran Galan right now. I'm trying very hard to get a project going with him. I think his work on those 10 pages is incredible. I think he does incredible comic work. So I would definitely do it with him. I love horror. Stuff like Creepshow is tough for me because I very much want it to be sort of the tone of the pre-existing thing. And like Creepshow is like a little mean-spirited, which isn't really it's kind of cruel. You know Hayden knows what I'm talking about. And like that's not really my like how I tell stories, but I like the challenge of trying to make something work for what Creepshow is, because Creepshow is not just an anthology. Like it has a very definite tone, right? So I would just because I love a 10-page story. I would not want to do a bunch of 10-page stories, but to just kind of get in and out of something real fast is really fun as a creative person. And you sort of scratch an itch, but I like Creepshow. And the book sold really well, and we like that. So, and thank you for liking my story. I was really proud of that. Fran Galan killed it. He did such a good job. There's a page where they're like riding away in the night from these vampires, these kids on bikes. And in my head, I was like, they're not going to get, whoever the artist is won't get this right, because it's like things are happening that are sort of very subtle, but also visually very upsetting. Like a kid's being pulled off a bike from behind, right? And another's being sucked in. I'm like, they're just not going to get it quite right. But he nailed it. He did it so good. Thanks, Fran. He's very good. I want to work with him a lot. He's one of, I've been very lucky with artists. There's no one I don't really want to work with. So
yeah, including yourself. You've been very lucky with a great artist of you.
First of all, Larry, no one can fix him. All right. Next question.
It's true.
In,
You can't.
In any regards. All right.
Ow. Oof. I don't. Everyone. I feel like that gets brought up so much.
Here's the secret to getting. This is me all the time.
It's true. Yeah, this is every.
Here's the secret. It's been 2 weeks since I've talked to anybody, so I'm just so excited. You know, it's like free comic book day, and then I come home and I just see my beautiful family, the two of my daughters who don't want to talk to me because they're teenagers. And so I'm like, I'm just so excited to talk to anyone. I'm just so worked up about it.
I mean, yeah, it just worked out that you had a comic that you had 2 Eisner nominations the past week and a comic come out that at the same time that we were just like, we miss talking to Kyle, so we want to have him on just so we can talk and I can ask him about ska music. And
Wingspan's waiting for you. You need to come back, by the way.
We have all the expansions now.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I get to finally play the Asian expansion at that Southern Illinois show with Matt Kin and my daughter, and I'm excited to smush it in with the other ones.
Nice. Did you play the 2-player version?
Well, no, we did 3-player.
Okay.
No, yeah. I'm doing Gen Con this year as my vacation. It's my first like completely selfish vacation. And I'm not going to buy any games. I'm only going to buy Wingspan stuff. So it's like, oh, now I got a box it all fits into. Because like the game
we're going to be there Friday.
Are you really?
Yeah, we're going to go. Are you tabling it as well? All right, because I know you tabled at it before, right?
I helped Oni before, and
that's right.
Dead of Winter, the Dead of Winter would have us at their booth, sort of signing things, and I haven't tabled there, but I've helped out, which is kind of if you're going to have to be there for business, like that's the way to do it because it's more fun to walk around and slide through the bathrooms, the nastiest bathrooms on earth.
I'm nervous for that one because it's gonna because I know Kristen's gonna there's gonna be a lot.
I also want all the Wingspan stuff, so maybe we need to be walking around and buying all the Wingspan together.
Matt Kent says, "I know where it is, and I'll show you where it is." I'm like, what? I'm like, what if it's not there this year? And he's like, it'll be there. I'm like, okay, because I'm like, that's all I'm buying. I'm just gonna buy like,
love that
to condense things is all.
That's the biggest problem I'm having. There are too many boxes now.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's a
nesting box. I know.
Yes, there's a new one called the big box. It's supposed to hold everything, but.
We watched an unboxing of the nesting box, and that's our life. This brings me to another one of my questions for you, Kyle. That's in my notes app
at the bottom.
No, this is a real one that I had. Are you
original read question?
Are you more proud of your Eisner nominations or getting Kristen into the 2 new loves of her life, which are Wingspan and local independent wrestling? What are you more proud of, your Eisner noms or bringing light into this wonderful woman's life?
I'll tell you which one does more for me, and that's Kristen wanting to go see wrestling with me and play board games with me. So which one directly improves my life is the latter. I'm very excited about the Eisner nominations. It's like the Oscars for comics, so it's a pretty big deal.
It really is.
It's a great big deal. It's a super big deal. You're just gonna have to get new
Thanks, Johnny.
business cards.
It's 4. It's 4. It's 4 what was like? So of course I would. So it's not the first show I did. The first show I ever did was Fluke in Atlanta, but the first like real comic show I ever did was Heroes Con, which was after my first book, which I kickstarted called Legend of Ricky Thunder. It's available on the site, kylesucks.com. I pointed to your browser so you can just go and look.
Actually, there's a link in the description, so you can click on that and go to Kyle's store.
Yeah.
You should see Kyle at Heroes Con again this year. He will be there as well.
Yeah, in a couple weeks.
It is.
So the first time I did the show, I had nothing. I basically had this one book, and I ended up sitting next to Erica, who had nothing. She had prints, and we sort of hit it off on the last day, and so we became really good friends. And the year that she got Squirrel Girl was the year that I got Sex Castle, basically, and her trajectory, of course, is like a rocket, and mine. But we both kind of were moving up at the same direction as she's getting Archie and all this other stuff. I'm getting Rick and Morty, and we're sort of on a tangent. Hers is just far higher than mine, but she's one of my dearest friends, and we wanted to work together. And she had a small window, and we did Assassination because we wanted to work together. I would absolutely work with her again. I love her. She's one of my favorite people on earth. I think she is arguably the best comic. Her and Chris, I think, are both so underrated. I think they're so incredibly good. Her new book, Parasocial, I've already read it. It's so good. Hard recommend. Hard recommend you guys get Parasocial when it comes out. It's really good. I love Erica. The Answers, of course. Anytime. I would do anything with Erica at any point. She's one of my really good friends. So, who's my favorite wrestler? This is like the top. Just one.
Just throw some out.
I'd say probably my favorite wrestler,
Nick Depp.
Probably my favorite wrestler right now is probably Orange Cassidy. I was a big Chikara guy, and he may or may not have been in Chikara. Anyone who's in Chikara, I'm soft for. I love Penta. My wife, she's like, don't forget you like all these people. And I'm like, I do. I really like all these people. Sami Zayn, because I loved El Generico. Sami Zayn last year was so good. This last year was so great. But probably Orange is my favorite. All the best friends. I love them. Chucky. Chucky is a Midwestern boy. He's a good Midwestern boy, so we support that. But yeah, I'm soft for anyone who's in Chikara. Otherwise, I'd have to think about it. I just don't like I said, I don't do the list, right? I don't do the list in my head. But whose merch would I own? That's a good question. That's the real question.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen you wear. I think I only see you wear like a Johnny Cash shirt once, and then you always have your Johnny Cash hat, and then I don't think I've ever seen you wear a wrestling shirt.
I don't own any. So when I did Free Comic Book Day, Lethal Lucha TV, this might interest you. They know the Challengers. The store I did a signing at is the Wrestle Boys too. It's Challengers in Chicago. It's one of the best comic shops in North America. And they're like, hey, we got tickets for you to go see local indie wrestling afterwards. And I'm like, you have no idea. It's all I want to do. I can't wait to see some bad local indie wrestling. It was Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix was the main event. So I saw Ray Phoenix in like a venue basically the size of where I'm at right now. It's so small. That was super dope. I have to think about who I know there's an answer, but I'm blanking because I just never. But I love Orange Cassidy because I love Chikara so much, and he's the most Chikara guy left over that's still sort of actively working. I think Eddie Kingston. I like Eddie Kingston now. I didn't care for him in Chikara. I love Eddie Kingston.
I have some more retrace or original questions for you.
Sure. They've been great so far.
I thought so. I think they've been really good. We were texting the other day, and I was like, "I'm gonna ruin your life." You're like, "I'm dreading every moment of this." I hope I'm living up to that hype.
I'm only worried about that clip. Is the only one I'm.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll tell
you what. I'm worried about two clips. One, the clip where I said the thing, and the one where I was laughing uncontrollably because I don't like to express emotions.
That's why you did.
I would ask. So here, this is a two-parter. One, is The Blind Side a sports movie?
Yes. 100.
Really?
Thank you. So we argue about this all the time. And
this is literally the number one source between. Like,
Blindside's a sports movie. Sorry, there's
100%.
Like we could sit here and I would refute all claims. Sorry, chat. So anyone's like, oh, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie because 100% is. Now that's an argument. Because
I just think to say
The Blind Side is literally about a guy playing football.
Yeah, there's no movie about the football aspect.
The problem I just want to just to say, because the problem with people who are like Die Hard's a Christmas movie is I feel like there's too many people that base their entire personality on Die Hard's my favorite Christmas movie. And so that's the problem with that.
Okay.
But Blind Side, it's the same movie if you take sports out of it. That's my argument.
It's 100% not. You're so wrong.
It's the same movie. It's still Sandra Bullock helping somebody. Look, fine. It's fine. I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna lose this fight.
Listen,
I've already lost this fight.
Sorry, chat. Rita just stepped into my blind side squared circle, and here's what I'm going to point out to you. Here's what I'm pointing out to you is that, as you know, in Blind Side, the main character, who cares what his name was, is that he was an offensive lineman, right? And his job was to protect the quarterback. The bit where he's in the truck crash and he stops that little child from dying. And then later they go, we took a test, and his highest rating on the test was protecting people. It only works for a sports movie. Like that's part of who he is. It folds over. He's so good at this sports thing because of the type of person he was, because of his home life, and he had to take care of his little brothers, little sisters.
It could be he could do something different than sports, but I understand what you're saying. But anyway,
listen, okay,
this is just
Avatar.
I only brought this up just so we can argue. I brought this
okay.
up only so that me and Kristen can continue our forever fight since the day we met, practically.
She's correct. Blindside is 1,000% a sports movie.
What is the best sports movie?
I do really like Blindside. I do really like Blindside. The best sports movie.
If the answer needs to be Rookie of the Year. Gary Busey.
No, it's not though.
Are you sure? Because Gary Busey's in it.
Here's what I'll throw out. Man, I feel like I'm obligated to say Hoosiers and League of Their Own because they're both so regional.
League of Their Own
is very good. I cry at the end every time.
It's so good. Yeah, that one.
Last Boy Scout is a quiet, great sports movie with Bruce Wayne and Damon Wayans.
Miracle is great.
You're a hockey guy.
Yeah, whatever. You're a basketball guy. So
you know what?
The
best hockey movie I think is The Goon. I think Goon is great.
Goon is great. But I mean, Slapshot is really good.
Slapshot's a lot of inside baseball, though. Like the thing is, Goon, you don't have to know anything about hockey, and you'll still like it.
That's true. It's yeah.
There's a bunch of them. I'm soft on sports movies for whatever reason. There's like 4 bad ones coming out like in theaters right now, which make no sense to me. But I like what is the one with Denzel Washington in the racist town? We're Marshall. Maybe.
Oh, are you thinking? No, you're thinking. Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
Remember
I like
the
all of them.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Rudy, right?
Rudy's great. Yeah.
I always like ones that they're like. It's like, oh, God, I know I'm blanking on some big ones that I like. Oh, White Man Can't Jump, which are remake. I think White Man Can't Jump might be the best one, honestly. I can't believe they're remaking it. I can't believe to be mad about that. I love everything about White Man because that is a dramatic film.
Yeah.
That is a dramatic film with so many great character performances. Anyway,
Jeez, take off your beret for a second when you say that. Jeez.
I'm gonna say White Man Can't Jump. That's my favorite.
That's a correct answer. I will. Yeah. I would agree with it. How many times have you seen The Last Dance?
Only one. I just watched it once.
Really?
I don't need to watch things multiple times. Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah,
I saw it. I saw it and I consumed it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I was alive and watching.
I'm the kind of I'm put it on all the time in the background when I need to, just because that's
to get motivated.
Sometimes it's that.
And then Reed took it personal.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Kristen, you can move on to more questions. I've got more.
Kristen, do you have any questions on your phone?
Oh my God.
She's got none. We can move on to the lightning round.
Do you want to talk Star Wars?
Oh, do you want to talk Star Wars?
Is this a trick? I don't like Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's not a trick.
I don't care for it. My favorite Star Wars is the one where Alan Tudyk is a robot. Rogue One?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rogue One is your favorite Star Wars?
My least favorite is probably the first one of the new trilogy because that's my age and we hated those. We hated the prequels or whatever the hell they were.
The first prequel, Phantom Menace, because the Phantom Menace is like my favorite.
Yeah, that's your age.
That's because that was
we were
my
young then. Yeah,
our Star Wars. Like that's what I felt.
I'll tell you. This is just real quick because Larry's asked so many Rick and Morty questions. Is that when I was a kid loved Star Wars, crazy about Star Wars. I love the robots. I love a robot so much. I love a funny little robot, and I love Jabba's like slave ship and the big monster. I love it. There's so many things I love about it, just from like a world building thing. And we had the toys. Like we were crazy about Star Wars, but it's a different. During that time, like you saw them in the theater which I did. We only saw them in the theater. It's like then you never saw them for 5 years. You had to only live in the world of Star Wars in your head. But Marvel had a Star Wars comic, and we got that comic. And I think my brother got it more than me, but I just remember so clearly the point where Jackson, the green rabbit showed up, and I was just like, oh, this isn't the thing we like. And something about that just turned me off to it so much that I just gave up on Star Wars. And also I don't like incest and things. I think Star Wars is a little bit more of that. Listen, I know we brushed it under I know we picked up the rug and we're like, no, not really, guys.
Yeah.
But for me,
it's a bit of a yikes. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a yikes. And unless you use that for villainous purposes, I out. That's it. For some reason, that'll kill it. And I didn't really get that as a kid because I never saw it as a romantic movie. When I was older, I was like, Anyway,
That's fair. Apparently, if you win an Eisner, you'll get flown to Finland. That's how it works.
I almost went to the Helsinki Comics Fest. I say almost. I don't like going anywhere. Reed's like, he's gonna go somewhere. They know.
Yeah. I'm like,
anywhere.
is he gonna go somewhere?
One of my really dearest friends who are also with Heroes, Jarrett Melendez, also nominated for an Eisner, used to be involved in some sort of agentorial process for the Helsinki Comic Fest. And he's like, do you want to go to it? And I was like, I don't, because I don't like to go anywhere. And it makes me very anxious to not be in my little safety cave. That's one of my for real anxieties. But I think Cara McGee did it last year, and they went to a theme park nearby. And like I was like, wait, no one said anything about a Viking theme park.
That's what does it for you. That's what's gonna do.
Yeah,
it.
but also it's more than that. Sort of after that first time, I was like, oh, I bet he'll ask me again next year. I hope it is. I'm almost positive it's Helsinki that I'm thinking of. There's a theme park. Johnny, can you confirm? Is there a theme park like near? I think it's Helsinki because my memory is bad, but I don't get to go. I don't get asked a lot of places. And I was just like, you know what? Why would I not do that? Like even just for the, but it's like it's a long flight. I just think about all the ways it inconveniences me, rather than like probably what an interesting life experience it would be, which is every part of my life. Would that be an interesting life experience? Would I be inconvenienced in any way? And it's like.
You love Finnish music though too. You're a big like me.
Sigur Rós.
Yeah,
Sigur Rós.
That's Icelandic. That's different. Me and Kristen.
I love Incubus.
You love Incubus. They know the great Helsinki rock band Incubus. No, but me and Kristen.
They're from like California.
Yeah, I don't know.
I clearly don't know anything about them.
Incubus? You mean new metal Red Hot Chili Peppers? Like that's.
You mean Scott Stapp, who leads Incubus?
Yeah. But me and Kristen do like Finnish rock music. We just recently saw the great Villa Velo of which Kyle loves. Villa loves that music.
I could. Who knows?
You
Is
know.
it loud?
Is it? Here's a first question. Is it loud?
Not really, actually. It's not really loud.
Did you like Typo Negative?
Listen. I don't. The thing about Jim is he doing a bit? You know,
I don't know. I don't know what it means.
We the first convention that I ever tabled at, which Kyle was present for, which incidentally also had his favorite actor from his favorite Star Wars was there.
Not Alan Tudyk.
No, but but the fake Princess Leia. Remember, she came up to you. You don't remember this? She came. I remember you were talking about it because she was like, "I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan," and you were like, "This lady doesn't know who I am."
Yeah, sure. She was like, was she a stand-in or did she just have like a tiny
she was a stand-in for in Rogue One. Your favorite Star Wars.
I don't remember people thinking I'm someone else unless they thought I was someone good. You know,
like everyone thinks you're David Cross.
I remember every time someone said. He looks a lot like David Cross for sure.
I just remember you used to make that joke all the time because you'd be like, you'd always say that. You'd be like, yeah, they probably just thought I was David Cross. Anytime somebody thinks you're famous,
that's what Eric Stevenson, CEO of Image, said the first time I met him. I said, hey, so speaking of the Eisners, I said, hey, sorry, I didn't win one for the team, boss. And he said, oh, I didn't realize how much you look like David Cross. And I said, all right, I'll talk to you later. And I turned around and this conversation ended curiously.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
So, but Jim Cornette's interesting because I think he's a really brilliant wrestling mind, but I think he's maybe doing a bit. And if he's not doing a bit, it's just like it's hard to get old. Like that's the takeaway for that, right? It's like it's just hard to get old and things change, and especially if like he was so ingratiated into every part. I mean, he's a booker and he's a promoter, and it's probably hard to see things change. And you think like the way that you did it was the best way because at the time it was. And I don't know. I'm not listening to him. Like when his shit shows up, I go, well, Jim's talking. Jim also brings a box of singles. Like a long box.
That's what
single issues.
That was the weirdest part. Like when we were there, because I remember because he was literally so again. That's the first convention that I had ever tabled at, and we are right. I'm right.
Tabled at. That was in Louisville. Was that in Louisville?
Yeah, that was Derby City. Yeah, Louisville. Because Steranko was there.
It was so bad.
That convention was so weird. But we're
That's
right
cool.
across from Jim Cornette and Kel Mitchell of Keenan and Kel. And
I
my
rode in a car
dad,
with Kel once.
my dad, of course, takes a bootleg photo of Kel Mitchell, which is
Sure.
wonderful. And also my dad, I think, legitimately thinks his name is Kel Williams, and he kept saying it. But but he also, but the whole time I remember being like, Jim Cornette is over there. It's like, what is he doing? Because he's got like his long boxes set up, and I was just like, he's straight up just selling his collection as well
Yeah, he is.
as getting
Yeah.
selfies with these people. I'm just like, I mean, respect for the bag. I mean, like, let the man get his bags, but
He's got a collection. He likes comics.
yeah.
Guys like that, I feel like it's just like, I think he's doing a bit, man. I don't know. If he's not doing a bit, he's mad, and whatever. I guess he's right to be mad.
In case
Next
you're
question.
wondering, Kyle is not doing a bit. This
Hold
is
on.
Kyle.
Charlie Chu, don't you have anything better to do on a Friday night? You have a child. This hot dog is a sandwich. It's not a fucking sandwich. If we went on a picnic, and I said, oh, I brought us some lovely sandwiches to enjoy on this picnic. Do you love a sandwich? Kristen, would you like a sandwich?
Absolutely.
And then I pulled out a hot dog. You'd be like, this person is, I just failed a
I'd
psychopath
smack it
test.
out of your hand.
Here's the
And
real
you love
question.
hot dogs, right? And you like hot dogs.
Sure.
Yeah.
What a fucking swerve I just pulled. All right.
Yeah.
I used to, so
Charlie,
Kyle,
you
you
could ask me anything.
my place of my place of work that you would come and visit me at sometimes. The
Oh, yeah?
coworkers there would always ask me questions like this, but they believed of the idea that all food is either soup or salad. Like they would put all food into one of those two categories. So it's like a casserole is a salad, or is it a soup? And then,
It's
but
a
like
soup
they
'cause
would
it's cooked.
It's
I don't
soup.
know.
It's a
exactly.
soup.
I don't know, but that
Warm.
would be the discussion at all times. Was like
Here's
always
it.
that.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, I hate this because I feel like sometimes we just need to have.
Finally,
we
got
need-
it. 1 hour and 16 minutes in, Kyle officially says, "I hate this," and we finally got it.
Because it's like, why are we can live a happier life than the super salad life? But probably like a sandwich is a salad, right? Because it's not cooked and it's a series of items put together. Whereas a
Yeah,
casserole
but then
is a
if
bunch of
it's
items
cooked-
together than cooked.
Mhm. But I mean, salad can have cooked elements to it. This would always eventually like become the thing.
Ready to
Kristen is
rumble.
trying to put up the things to get me to stop talking, and it's not gonna work.
You know what?
Wow.
You say I think The Wrestler is a really brilliant wrestling movie, though. If we're gonna do that, yeah.
Oh, the
Okay.
Wrestler is great. Sad, but
No,
great.
I think whatever the amusement park. I didn't know it was Viking. I don't know what the theme park was. I don't know what the theme of the theme park. See, no, I'll do it. Listen, I don't know if I'm going to win an Eisner, but you guys should still bring me out and maybe my wife or daughter. Only one of my daughters.
Yeah, I was gonna say only one.
The one that's
Only
nicer
one of
to
them.
you.
Yeah.
Varies week to week. Varies day to day.
Next question.
They're both full teenagers. Yeah.
Noses or ears?
Next, what the hell? What kind of?
Read.
No,
Next
I just
question.
want to know what do you noses or ears? What do you prefer?
For what? Next. Next.
You're freaking him out, right?
For what? To eat? What are you doing?
No,
Next?
no, just
Yeah.
what?
To kiss?
Don't clip
What-
that.
What do you care? What do you care about more, noses or ears?
And which one do I have to lose? My ear, I guess. I can still hear without an ear.
No, ears.
I won't look like a mutant. I will be either one of them. My glasses.
Wait,
I'll put a
what's your
wrapper on
next
the back.
question, Ray?
Next
What am I
question.
supposed- How? In what way?
No, that's it. There's no more questions of the Smash Mouth or Sugar Ray.
For what? To eat? To kiss?
Well,
That's a
that's an
tough
easy
one.
question. That's an
Sugar
easy
Ray is
question.
probably the answer, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. For both
Smash
of those,
Mouth,
to
I-
eat and to kiss.
I'll
Sugar
tell you,
Ray.
I feel like it's like if you could only listen to one of these two bands forever, and I think Sugar Ray has a better catalog.
Absolutely. Wilt
Mm.
Chamberlain
But I
or
think-
Shaq?
Oh, Chamberlain for sure, no
I
question.
thought that was Shakira or Phoebe Bridgers?
Again, for what? To kiss? To eat?
Don't clip it. Don't clip it.
I prefer a certain type of music, and it's Phoebe Bridgers. But I will say, I've never not heard a Shakira song that wasn't an absolute banger. I've
hips don't
never
lie.
heard.
I've
hips
never heard
don't
you use the
lie.
word banger.
I say it a lot when it comes to music. I also think they're both very attractive, but I don't think that's what we're here for today.
It's not. Bojangles or Charles Barkley?
Hold on, Bojangles is the chicken place,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or Charles Barkley the human being?
hmm
Again, for
Which
what
do you
purpose?
prefer? Which do you
To
prefer?
eat?
No, just you got to pick one. Think of it as like
What?
if this was your March Madness bracket, who would you pick?
Oh, Charles Barkley.
Sir Charles Barkley. Which, by the way, I need to ask you: have you read the Sir Charles Barkley and the Referee Murders comic book?
No, I have not.
Oh,
I did not know it existed. Is it
Reed loves
official?
it so much.
give me a second. I'll find it. I'll show you.
Is it
Oh,
is it
no.
like
cool.
is it licensed by Charles Barkley?
It is. He's. Oh, it's so. Give me a second. Kristen can chat for you. With
Sure, invisibility or flight. Everyone's gonna ask you or questions now. You have to leave.
Here's the thing, invisibility or flights. I think it depends on how old you are on what the answer is. I think for a young man, obviously it's invisibility. As an older man, you just want to get places faster, so flight is the answer. Invisibility as a young, curious. Bojangle is a it's a chicken place, but it's like biscuit. Oh yeah, well I'm explaining.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know.
They do a lot of it's a chain of places. They do chicken and they do biscuits. Sweet tea. It's very southern. It's pretty good. If you live in like North Carolina, you would choose Bojangles over anything. They would like the chicken is so good. The chicken's okay. I get a sausage biscuit.
The biscuit is quite good.
Before I was very diabetic, Reed, and I did Heroes Con, I would go in the morning because you go to get breakfast, you get a couple biscuits, you get some bow rounds, which are just like oversized potato coins.
Mm-hmm.
They're oversized potato ole to me at Taco John's, man. But I would be like, let me get 2 biscuits, let me get some bow rounds, and can I get a gallon of sweet tea? And I would just kind of like, and now I'm super diabetic, so there's a lesson to be taken from that. What is he wearing a Dick Tracy coat for?
Oh, because he's gonna solve the referee murders. But just so you see the back, this is the back cover, Kyle.
Oh, it's How to Draw Charles Barkley.
And then the best thing is the fact. So there's a flip book in this book.
I feel like some people shouldn't have adult money. Does anyone else agree, chat?
Do you see? And it literally, it's in the way of the art, but it's literally just him turning around
in a Dick Tracy jacket.
Yeah, like here, let's watch it.
Go Chuck, go Chuck. They called him the round mound of rebound. Did you know that, Kristen?
They also called him Sir Charles.
You already said that.
That's the name of the book. Anyway, this exists, and I'm surprised you being the person that you are. But you also don't you don't love terrible things the same way that I do.
I don't like trivial things.
Yeah, that's me.
But I don't have joy in my life. I'm a very serious person. So.
All right. Well, Reed, you did your questions.
Wait. I think I may have. I'm trying to think. Do I have any more? Do I want to completely ruin my friendship with Kyle Starks?
No.
Actual question.
We like Kyle.
We do. We love Kyle. We love a Kyle.
4-time Eisner nominee.
Wow. Kyle 4-time Eisner nom Starks. Who's your favorite painter?
Dude, it's so. I can't. I just can't do
favorites.
This game.
Remember?
I know, but I just think it's fascinating because I always love the fact, Kyle, because you're an old school art boy. Like you went to college for like painting. You wanted to be a painter.
For sure, I'll tell you who I love. I love pop era artists. I love sort of anything sort of before that. I like the surrealist. I love Mondrian. I love. I like a lot of Cubist stuff. I love Magritte. Rene Magritte's one of my favorites. I'll tell you who I like right now for modern painters. There's a guy named Terry Urban who does these very sort of like mixed media collage type things that are very Basquiat, and I love them. And I see Terry Urban, who's very, very, very good. You can find him on Instagram, and he does process paintings. is like I see his stuff and it looks very much like what I wanted to make when I was in art school and wanted to go to art school, where I wanted to do these sort of mixed media text things, and he does it very loosey goosey, and there's like a tattoo sort of element to it, and he's probably the guy in terms of artist. He's probably the guy that whenever he pops up on Instagram, I'm always like, oh, here comes another one. Like, oh, I love to see him work. I love almost all. If you go far enough back, it's too dusty for me to give a shit. But I love museums. I love going to museums. I've been in Chicago twice this year, and I only get to go for work. But there's a Dali exhibit up, and I don't like Dali. He's not anywhere close to one of my favorites. He's probably far away from us. Like, I really want to go see it just because I love to see a collection. I love to see everything together.
It's,
my favorite all time.
Yeah.
Tough, man. I love the pop artists. I really do. Rauschenberg. I'd have to really, oh, you know who it is? I can tell you my favorite is. I don't know why. This is what I'm saying. I know the answer, but you guys ask me these questions with no preparation.
Sorry, we're just trying to throw you. I'm just trying to throw you.
My entire life. Like, oh, Kyle, your entire life. Can you remember that one thing? It's probably Ed Hopper. Ed Hopper is probably my favorite of all time.
Okay.
He did Nighthawks, notably.
Yeah.
But he did all the
we
stuff.
recently saw that in person, Kristen.
At the artist
we have some Ed Hoppers. We have some Ed Hoppers here at the Evans Memorial Museum. We have a couple here. They're very good. His stuff is great because I love how it's something that's real that feels surreal, and it's somehow always sad, and that's just the type of things I like. He says a lot with nothing, and I think that's very powerful. Ed Hopper's probably my favorite. I have like 3 Ed Hopper books. I just like there's someone I have a bunch of books for. My wife bought me a very big Ed Hopper book for Christmas a couple of years ago. That was far too expensive, but I love looking at his stuff. I love an art show. If you go too far back, it's just like it's too. Even then, I'm sort of still interested in it from a technical stance. But like, if there's a lot of collars,
first time we ever hung out as an art show.
A lot of collars. I don't want a lot of collars.
It's like too much collar.
You're not a.
It's like I can't take these people seriously.
With.
Oh. If I could have any Ultimate Comic artist work on the answer is, here's the thing, Kirby's the answer. There's not even a hesitation. I think Kirby's the GOAT. I don't know how well we would work together. He's so bombastic. I feel like his art's so bombastic compared to what I do.
Yeah.
But I do think he's the GOAT. I think if the answer was if I could get any sort of like any GOAT comic creator, I can answer this one. If you could have anyone all time do a Kyle Starks comic, it would be Guy Davis. I think would be number one. Guy Davis did EPRD, but he's an underappreciated GOAT. And Uesawa, probably Uesawa, because I think he can do no wrong, and I think I've stole so many things from him and how he does conversations and stuff like that. But those would be the 2 GOATs that I would be like, man, if I could work with anybody all time, Guy Davis and Uesawa would probably be the answers. Art Adams would probably, because Art Adams was so critical to my youth. That's a fun game for me. Like for me, it's another one of those things where it's like I don't would have, could have. I don't think about it like that because I can only sort of exist in the realm of what I can make real, So like I say this to set up the story. So for whenever I do a comic, especially in modern times, they're like, oh, we're going to do variants. Who can we get to do variant covers or whatever? And I'm like, oh, Erica Henderson, she'll do it. I know her. Chris Schweitzer will do it. I know him. And then I don't know, maybe I can find somebody else that I know that'll do a okay cover, right? And when I was doing Where Monsters Lie and Peacemaker, they're like, oh, let us know who could do a variant cover, whatever the wording was. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like, we want to sell them. And they're like, oh, we got Dan Hipp. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I think Dan Hipp's maybe one of the best artists out there right now. His design sense is impeccable. I think he's incredible. I didn't know I could just name names. Like I could just say people's names and they would maybe make it happen. So it's like James Stocco did Where Monsters Lie, and Tyler Crook and Fabio Moon. And then it's like, there's like literally a murderer's row of artists doing those Peacemaker covers. And I did ask for one guy, and I think either he didn't want to do it or maybe they didn't ask him. The next thing I do, I'm gonna be like, here's the dumb list of people I think we should get to do a variant cover, because apparently I can say whomever I want. It'll be Dan Hipp. It'll be Dan Hipp every time. But those are the GOATs. Kirby's the GOAT, man. I don't think I like Cooper and Buscema. JR maybe. I think I could do something really cool with John Romita Jr. I think his style is something that works for so many different genres. He's gonna be at Heroes too, by the way. I don't do that. I don't get big on stuff. Did your dad have you sign in stuff already? The whole
we've got it. He's given us a whole list.
On the list.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I don't think I can do it. Every time we went by him last time, his line is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'll tell you something because I spoilers. I don't know what I can say. The villain of Marvel Unleashed is in a John Romita Jr. drawn comic. So I read the comic, and nothing really happens in it. But there's like a 2-page setup where basically a character jumps on the back of a driving Jeep, and then they punch him off. And it probably happens in like 4 panels. Like it's pretty sparse in terms of how much is actually on the page, and it's unbelievable. Just like these 2 sequences that are so simple that you'd see in so many of the comics. And JR, who's like at his strength, because it would have been probably mid 80s. So he'd probably be the list. If you're like, I think probably JR would be best suited to my work. And him doing Kick-Ass probably probably sways me in some way, seeing that he sort of does funny, violent things that I do really well. But I think that dude, like, there's no one like him, and I probably am more partial to him. Is if I had to pick one of those greats to be like, if I had overnight I could draw like one of these 6 guys, I'd probably pick JR over Kirby, which is crazy, just because Kirby stuff is too wild for the story. I tell very down to earth stories, so I don't know how I changed it off on that, but that was a good game. I like playing that one. I like playing that game. Fun one.
That was a fun game.
I
want to see. You should try to get JR to do a variant cover.
Yeah, I'll name him next time. I'll be like, can we get Art Adams? Can I get JR? They'll be like no. they're gonna be like,
get Jim Lee. Just get every. I mean, you could probably get Jim Lee.
He's not busy.
Yeah, no, not doing anything. He's less busy than you.
Speaking of being busy, I know you say you're too busy to actually read comics, but obviously I always want to ask you personally what you're reading and what I should be reading. Do you know of anything that should be on my personal radar?
Other than
all of your stuff.
Every Kyle Starks book that is coming out currently.
Do read.
Oh my gosh. Erica's got a new book out called Danger and Other Things. I'm sure it's great.
She read it.
I have not read that. I have not read that yet. Parasocial is going to come out, and I hard recommend. I mean,
I'm definitely going to read that. Yeah.
There's some. It has a convention, like a comic conventions opener like segment to it, and I feel like maybe I have some bias because it's like I know this, like I've seen this type of person, and it seems very real and very realized. So I hope like it's not just because Pulp was one of the best comics I've read by Brubaker. That and Supergirl were like the 2 books from last year. If you ask me, I was like, I hope like these books are amazing. 2 of the best comics I've read in a long time.
Woman of Tomorrow,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
I love that. It's great.
Here's how good Supergirl World Woman of Tomorrow is. As I'm reading it, the first issue, I'm like, this is true grit, and I'm furious. I'm like furious. I'm like, this dude is selling people true grit, and I'm so mad at it. I was like, this is kind of trash. It's kind of trash. By the end of it, I'm like, it's so good. And then like, I don't even care. Like, it was so good. It's so good that the thing, which I'm still mad about, because it's just true grit. It's true grit. He just does it so artfully, and it's like comics can do so many things. It's such an interesting. It's like not a satire. It's like an homage, but boy, it's true grit. It's an interesting thought experiment.
Is it true grit?
It's true grit, my dude. But it's so good, and it's like it overcomes that, which just means it's better. I think Pulp was unbelievable. You're gonna put me on. This is what I'm saying. You gotta give me a heads up. What am I read?
Kyle, you should have known that was coming. Literally every time we speak to you,
the question.
This is what and yeah, you agreed to be on the show. What are you mad about? We're asking you questions.
No, I'm not mad. It's just I always try to think of like for stuff that came out recently. I don't know if I know I'm forgetting something though that I read that was really good. I've been reading a lot of stuff, but I can't think of anything. I've been reading a lot more novels lately because I had to do that.
Hey, Kristen wants to hear that. Kristen, yes. I
had to do the Skybound thing where they asked me like my 5 favorite comics of all time and my 5 favorite comic covers.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't think they used the 5 comic cover one because I was like, I don't care. I was like, I never saw a cover and went, I need that pretty thing. You know what I mean? Like that's never, I've never ever done that. But they're like 5 favorite books and your 5 favorite comics, and I was like, man, I haven't read a book like really read a book in like many years now. But I used to read voraciously. I used to take 3 books to Denny's, have a cup of coffee, and smoke cigarettes all night, and read 3 books. I used to read all the time, and it's been so long though. Like I couldn't even remember. Like I was like, if I had to do my top, I'm like, I don't know what they are. And I tried to find my box of books in our attic that was like just my books, you know, the good books box, right? Couldn't find it. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm asking one of my friends teaches at Miami, Ohio, and I was like, dude, do you remember what books I liked? He's like, yeah, you like this one. I'm like, oh shit, I did like that book. And so we kind of worked it out. But so I went to the library because I was like, they want me to hold the books up. So I went and got these books from the library. So I started kind of reading all those books again. Notably some Vonnegut. I love Vonnegut. I knew Vonnegut. I mean, I was like, I don't, which one though? Which Vonnegut do you choose? It's like, ultimately it doesn't matter is the answer to that question, by the way. It doesn't matter which Vonnegut. It was Breakfast of Champions, Kristen, in case you were concerned, is the one I picked. Because he draws a butthole. He draws a butthole in it.
I watched the video. Yeah, it was a good one.
So I knew Vonnegut was gonna be on there. It's like there's certain things, and like there's certain books like when you're a young man, when you're 17 years old, and you're like, oh, I love this book. As a 46-year-old, you go, I probably read that book the most, but I'm not real proud that I like that book a lot, right? Like that's not one I necessarily want to list. So I was rereading Vonnegut. I kind of read a bunch of other stuff, and I'm now my youngest daughter just turned 13 a few weeks ago, and the same
Happy
week
birthday.
I went to Sam's Club and I bought 2 dad books from Sam's Club. And I'm like the transition for me. I think the transition is complete. I have teenage daughters. I'm going to read mindless thrillers. I'm going to soon be tinkering in the garage, right? It's just like I understand now. I understand fathers from when I was a teenager and why they seemed like kind of sad, because they were, you know, just trying to mind numb their way through with Jack Reacher novels.
That's like what my dad is doing. Kristen, every time we go out to eat with my parents, my dad brings up that he's reading again. My dad retired at the beginning of the year, and so he's reading again. And we went to the Half Price Books $1 sale, and my dad was like, wait, every book is $1? And he
got to get them.
Got so much as Kristen. What do you call it? Just what, dad books?
Yeah, I call them dad books. I mean, Kyle's right. They're dad books. Yeah.
Dad reads. It's just a bunch of Tom Clancy and Michael Crichton and all that. So it's just.
Love Michael Crichton.
Mm-hmm.
Loved him before.
That's less dad book. But...
Yeah.
I mean, true. But...
I'm reading a Gray Man. I'm reading the Gray Man, which is a poor man's Jack Reacher. He's not even a good one. It's so incredible that it's like there's something about seeing something so like creatively so clear for what it is, and like good for them. And I think there's a lot of fiction like that, like popular fiction. You go, oh yeah, I see exactly what you're doing. That's good for you. People like it. That's how I feel about the Gray Man. I'm gonna read all of them.
Wait, who's that by?
Mark Greeley, I think. I don't know.
Dad book. Okay.
You don't even know. Okay. Yeah.
Just go to Sam's Club.
Kyle, the books. I may start it just to talk to you about it.
I'm reading. We went to Sam's Club and I was like, because I found here. Because here's the thing: it's like what I wanted. I don't want art in my life the way I used to. Like I just want explosions and like everything's so complicated. I want my entertainment just to be entertainment, and that's it. And I read a book called I'm gonna forget the name of it. Final Girl Survival Club.
Grady Hendrix.
And I really liked it, and it was mindless and fun. And I tried to read another book by him, and it wasn't fun. And you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm out. I'm kind of out on that. But it's like this is the experience I want. I want something that I can just sort of. And in many ways, I want this for my books too. It's like I want them just to be like, I'm in it and I'm out, and I'm glad I was there. You know what I mean? It's like it's a fun romp, and that's what I want for all my entertainment. And so I was like, this is probably it, because we watched the Reacher show. The Reacher show on Amazon Prime was great. It was exactly very Kyle Starks. And if you like Peacemaker, I think you would like that Jack Reacher TV show, the one with the big guy in it, not Tom Cruise.
Krasinski.
Kind of, yeah.
John Krasinski.
No, that's a different one.
That's Jack Ryan. Jake Ryan.
Jake Ryan.
State Farm. Jake Ryan.
This one's just called Reacher. It's very similar in energy to sort of Peacemaker in that it doesn't take itself that seriously. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of fun. Like I could do this, because it is like I was raised on 80s action movies and I love that. But like I won't ever try to church that up. Like it is what it is, and I like it when things like that are like, hey, you want to just have fun? It's really violent and dumb. And I'm like, yes, please give me some of that.
Yeah, Roadhouse.
But like these books are like Roadhouse is a perfect. But Roadhouse also has like there's just enough more going on. Like I want that too.
Yeah,
you know?
Agreed. Yeah.
But I like it when it's also like True Lies. Like True Lies, like we're gonna blow stuff up in a great way. It's like that's what I want so bad. I want True Lies. It's so dumb. If it's dumb, I kind of like it better. And it's like you can tell, like there's certain parts where he's like, "Oh, he didn't do any research on this. He didn't do any research." And I'm gonna say that because if people are like, "You're wrong," it's like there's a group of like Israeli secret agents, like they're like super spies for Israel for the Mossad, and their names are Mike, Ruth, Laureen, and Aaron. And I'm like, he couldn't even be bothered to Google like most common names in Israel. And like I love that. Like I love it because it's like the guy's like, listen, I just gotta get a story out. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I just gotta get the story done.
I mean,
like
two of those are Bible names, so that's where the Bible happened.
And listen, I could be wrong. And like another thing, like he meets with a group of Iranians, and the only one who has a name, their name is Ali Hussein. And he even says he's like that's not a real name. That's like John Smith in Iran. But he doesn't say any other Iranian names, and it makes me think. It makes me think he's like I don't need to get into this. You know what I mean? And I kind of he's like, let me just get it done. And there's a lot of bits, but it's like if he pulls out a gun, it tells you exactly what kind of gun it is and like the scope, and I don't know. It's so great, but it's mindless and it's dumb and like things like that. I think if you were watching a very serious, you'd be like, this is terrible. But like this guy, he's just making a book. Like we're all just here to have fun. So yeah, that's my friend. I've been reading books.
We're on season 10 of Bones, Kyle. Have you ever watched Bones?
My wife watched all of it.
Yeah, it's so good.
I feel like that was something you said that with disappointment, Kyle.
I love it.
You said that the same way that when I remember the first time I told you, it was like, oh, we've been watching a lot of Castle. You were like, oh, Nathan Fillion's giant head.
Yeah. She loved Castle too. She loved it.
I loved it too.
I think you asked me, do you love his big head, Reed? You find Nathan Fillion's giant head?
I was like, yeah.
I like Nathan Fillion a lot, but he does kind of have a big head, right?
His head is enormous. It's beautiful.
It's weird.
It's a giant, beautiful Easter Island head. Like he's just huge.
It's like a steroid head.
Yeah.
Are we about to go on 2 hours of this?
Well, do you want to?
Do you want to stop it?
Earlier, like I remember yesterday, you were like, I got a hard out and all that, and it's like
I know it changed.
I know that's fine. And you were just like, I'm definitely not doing this for 2 hours.
Well, I'm glad it changed because it was like a downpour just now out, at least where we're at. I don't know about you.
Was it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We were gonna go see the local baseball team, but wife wasn't. And I was gonna go see local indie wrestling tomorrow, but you guys are.
We're out of town.
We're sorry.
We're visiting Maddie.
We'll have to get
Maddie. Love Maddie.
Blame her though.
I didn't see her in Chicago this year.
Yeah, she didn't come.
Probably why I didn't like it as much. probably exactly why I didn't like it as much. Any more questions to put at the bottom?
Kyle?
No, yeah.
Kyle, do you have questions?
Kyle doesn't know that he can see the chat. I
can't see it.
You can if you on the side. There's a thing that says private chat, and then it says comments.
Yeah, you can click comments.
You click comments. You could see literally everything. So he's only been reading them as Kristen puts them up, which I've been greatly enjoying. Just because he's so full of joy when you put one up.
I know. I was like, look, she found a good one. Hey Johnny, I bet you're right. By the way, he said Woman Tomorrow is there's probably some truth to that, but also it's just like a super good, engaging story. And I think James Gunn respects comics enough that like the smartest thing is to make a comic off the thing. That's the thing. That book here, I'll tell you something interesting about Woman Tomorrow because I couldn't believe the book was not selling very well. Do you know this? In trade, It was not selling very well.
Really?
People didn't have much interest. Yes. And I think Tom King even made like some interesting comment or tweet where he was like, it's not Batman. You know what I mean? And once James Gunn said we were making a movie based on this comic, it's sold out within like the week, basically. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy how like people would read these comics if somehow they figured out a way to tie them together in a way to be like, oh, you like Captain America? Here's some good Captain America stuff you'll like. They're opposed to that. Jackson the Rabbit. Lucas hated the character so much. Oh, well, good. I like Addams Family because I like Charles Addams, the artist. He's so good. There is a lot of this or that, huh? Do we get to pick which daughter? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
We're for it. Charlie Chu has a hot dog sandwich. He's not here anymore.
You're just still real mad about that.
Yeah, I am mad about that. He could have came in here and done anything. What was my favorite Charlie Chu book we did together instead of Winter?
It's a good one.
Kill Them All? That was a tough one.
Oh, Kristen's
Like, I know I have that one.
We got
Yeah.
we got all of them out.
Every time you mention one.
That the OG Kill Them All right there, Kickstarter version.
Yeah, I think I
the one
ordered,
that's missing a page.
Charlie's still here. I ordered a bunch more Sex Castles. I'm gonna bring some old school stuff to Heroes this year because I'm not gonna do Rick and Morty. So I'm gonna do some Sex Castles and Rock Candy Mountains.
Nice.
And a bunch of Peacemaker and Where Monsters Lie probably. And we're doing pre-show commissions. I have a few spaces left because I got a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Hopefully doing some drawings and whatnot. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I'm doing ALA this year too, which is the week after the American Library Association show, which is my first time. That should be great. We're gonna be hopefully selling horror to a bunch of librarians.
Will you grab all the free books for me, Kyle?
Do they have free books?
They do.
Will you grab them for Kristen?
If you direct me, I will do the best I can.
Okay.
If you're like I'd really like these three, but I'm gonna tell you, whatever the most popular. You think I'm standing in a crazy?
Oh no, no, I'm not gonna do that to you.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't mind. I'll be there. So because I'm not like, it's not like a regular show. I have no idea what it is. I don't think I'm like at a table for 10 hours. You know, I think I'm at a table for like a few hours, and I do a panel or two. I have no idea what it is. I
hear about it every year.
It's gonna be great.
Apparently, it's very exciting.
Schweitzer's tabling there. Oh, Hayden says you're gonna make me steal them. Okay, well, I'll ask them nicely. I'll be like, hey, it's me, 4-time Eisner nominee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I would love to check out this book. What's it called? Happy Kitty Dragons. I would love to check out Happy Kitty Dragons.
I want that.
I was like, what's the most Kristen book title I could come up with?
That's it. You nailed it.
You came up with it. That was very good.
Professional writer, Cal Starks, trying to bring some to the people.
Killer.
I think that's it.
Do you have anything else you want to? I mean, well, obviously everyone needs to get Peacemaker and then read that and experience the joy of that wonderful book and all of Kyle's books. You should all check them out. And,
I Hate This Place still coming out.
Yep,
yeah, absolutely. I hate the last 2 issues of I Hate This Place are coming out. The trade's out. Where Monsters Lie just wrapped up. That's sold out everywhere. So I guess pre-order the trade. Marvel's Unleashed is the next big thing, which is August. That we would get those pre-orders in for animal superheroes like you've never seen them before. That's what I have to say.
You also have a sticker club every month.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have a sticker club every month. This month is Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. That'll be a good one. It's $5. That's you can do through my Patreon, which is probably the best way to do it because my Patreons get to vote. Charlie Chu said the same thing. Plug the sticker club. Listen, the sticker club, you either want it or you don't want it. That's how I feel about it. I do whatever. This month is Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. Next month is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Very popular property. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and then I don't know what's after that. I might have another vote. Yeah, man, I got stuff going on. I'm at an interesting place where it's like I have two. Obviously, I mean, with I Hate This Place, which is probably my best-selling book to date, nominated for an Eisner for Best Humor Publication because it's hilarious.
It is. It is fun. Don't downplay it. Kyle's doing that downplay thing, but it's like it is great. It's great and it's funny.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know how funny it is. I don't know how hilarious.
I think it's quite funny. It's the right amount of funny. It is like
I think that's horror film. Like horror films, the best horror films have a little bit of funny in them. I think just
it's self-aware. I would say it's self-aware. Like that's what makes it. It's like it's aware of itself. Yeah, that's
Yeah, so it's the big ones. Marvel Unleashed is the next one, Peacemaker, and things will soon be announced. Like I said, I'm the busiest I've ever been, and I could potentially be a little bit busier too. Honestly, I could probably have like another book or I don't know. It needs to be balanced very I'm overran, then it won't have the same joy to it I want my books to have. So it's cool. It's cool to be busy. It's cool to be asked to do things. I'm getting asked to do more things, which is exciting. Win a couple Eisners, and who knows what'll happen? Who knows what's next?
Yeah, I know. Let's make it happen.
Well,
Some
again,
good
we
fun
have a link
books.
in the description to Kyle's store. Check that out. Check out his Patreon. Check out him on social media. The Kyle Starks. The
Everywhere, yeah.
Kyle
The
Starks. Everywhere.
the Kyle Starks, not the.
The.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's other ones.
Got it.
I'm the only one who has 4 Eisner nominations, probably them.
That's
There you
probably
go.
true.
That's killing it.
Okay, so we'll let you go.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.